If you got questions, you can always stop me. But 6a says something like p plus 5 squared equals, or plus 144 equals 0. So there are a few people that try to distribute this and do quadratic formula on this thing. There are a few people that try to do quadratic formula on like this thing. On these first two, you do not have to do quadratic formula. Come on in. If you did and you got it correct, we're doing the quadratic formula. I gave you full points. It's just still correct math, right? But it's like one of those things. All the work and we're on the time test. Doing the square root property on something like this is a lot better. If I do plus or minus the square root of a minus 144, this is going to give me plus or minus 12i on this side. P equals a minus 7 plus or minus 12i is what you should be getting for this thing. Ooh, sorry. I didn't even do the right number there. Minus 5 plus or minus 12i. I don't even know where that 7 came from. I was looking maybe at that other problem. I don't know. So this one, you should be able to use square root property on. This one is x minus 3x minus 4 if we factor this thing. So this thing was factorable. And we set each of those factors equal to 0. So this is going to give me an x equals 3. That's going to give me an x equals 4 for that one. This one, I think most people, I think, were using the quadratic formula for this thing. So you definitely got to use quadratic formula. But minus 6 times 1 times 1. So this, I think most people that were doing stuff, I think most of you got the quadratic formula right. If people messed up, a few people messed up on this thing. When I square this minus 6, it's going to become positive. So there were a few people that messed up and put this negative instead. And if I multiply all those things together, it's going to give me over what, minus 40 over 2. Okay, so this is 6 plus or minus. This is the root of a minus 4 over 2. When I do 36 minus 40, it should give me minus 4 in the root. A few people didn't fully simplify this, so depending whether you took out an I or not, you got a few extra points for plucking out I's. So this is a 2i here. And then I think a few people didn't simplify this all the way, but this should be 3 plus or minus 2i single I. So in class, I did something like separating them. A few people left it 2i over 2, and it's like, man, you can divide the two 2's out of there. It was really close. I'll in the middle of the class right now. Okay. Good. At 10. 10? Yeah. Thanks. Cool. That was maintenance. So anyway, that was that one. Got distracted, sorry. I had to stop the knocking for a second there. I have a feeling it would have persisted if I didn't open the door until. Same approach here. The 11 or the 121 over. We take a square root. So p plus 6 should be plus. I'm going to do this quick because I didn't want to. Yeah. And I probably did this a little quick, but you should have got something like this. It works out similar to the other one. We're going to take the square root of minus 121 is going to give me 11i. I'm going to subtract the 6 over. It should be a minus 6 plus or minus 11i. This one looks really similar to the other one, but it factors out a little bit differently. X minus 5, X minus 2, I believe are my two factors here. And so we're getting X equals 5 or X equals 2. Okay. And then this final one, this one, you're going to have to use quadratic formula. But again, there were like the same sort of mistakes I'm seeing happening here. We got to square this minus 4 times A times C over 2 times A is 2 times 1. 4 plus or minus. I try to make these almost like equally as difficult. I think they're pretty close. We're still getting like a minus 4 underneath our square root like we did in the other one. So 4 plus or minus over 2. 4 plus or minus 2i over here dividing by 2. We're dividing each of these things by 2, so 4 divided by 2 and 2i over 2 should be 2 plus or minus. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right, I just got muted. I don't know why I'm getting muted. Okay. All righty then. It said the host muted me, but I'm the host, unless it's talking about a co-host. Miss Watson's doing it by accident. I don't know. All right, so that was the first 3. These first 2 should have been somewhat like a review, right? We did these, I think, on the last test. But the quadratic formula was the kind of the new thing here. The next problem. What do I want to say about the next problem? The next problem was on the test. How about that? This is 6A. 6B looks pretty similar. I think I'll start with B this time around. This was the one that really killed people. It was not pretty to y'all. If I'm going 23 by 17 and it's giving me the outer dimensions and the inside of the frame is 240 square inches of picture. There were a few people, about a handful of people, correct? There was one person that set it up correctly and then messed up on some simple arithmetic sort of stuff. Oh man, I was totally rooting for y'all on this one. But some people set it up with the inner dimensions. What they're giving me is outer dimensions of 23 and 17. And so to get to the inner dimension, a few people added the x's. We have to subtract the x's here. So if you did it with addition, getting like negative 47. I'm running out of room. But that's 247. We multiply these two things together and they should give us 247. So 17 by what? 23. 391. Add 4x squared. So if I expand it out and I do that distribution there, this is a quadratic, so we're just solving a quadratic is what this problem is after we set it up. So we got to do some distribution. We got to put things in the right order. I try to make this so it was easier to factor than a lot of them. You should have been able to pull out a GCF and make it a little bit easier. But 34 and 46, what does that give me? Minus 80. I got like 391 minus 80 plus 4x squared equals 240. I want to subtract that 247. So 391 minus 247. It's going to give me 144. I'm going to rewrite things in the right order, just to have them in the right order. 4x squared minus 80. If I subtract this over, it's going to give me a positive 144. I think everything should be divisible by 4. Oh, this looks like something like x squared minus 20x plus. Dividing that by 4 is 12 and 12, 12 and 3, 36. Is that right? That's right. And from here, this thing should factor evenly. I remember one of them was x minus 2. I think the other one is x minus 18. Does that get me that? I think it should get me there. This is giving me a value of x equals 2. This is giving me a value of x equals 18. And so, if we go look back at our picture, only one of these things really makes sense. Okay. And that would be the 2 inches.
And the other one was 18, right? Correct?
Yeah, the other one is 18, so 18
Okay.
is not going to fit in there.
Just checking my factoring here.
Yep. The other one, you get the exact same answer, but in a different way. It is the same solution, but it's different. 17, right? Same setup. We have 17. We have to subtract 2 of the frames. And we have to subtract 2 of the frames. Inches. 17 by 11 is what, 187? Do y'all know the multiply by 11 little trick? I don't know if y'all know this. You just move it over and you have the tens and ones together. Okay. I did too many UIL competitions when I was younger. 187, subtract what? 34x. We're going to subtract 22x. We're going to add 4x squared, and that's going to equal 9. All right, so I got 187. I want to subtract 56x, 4x squared equal to 91. I got this thing. I want to maybe rearrange this thing. So 4x squared minus 56x. And if I take 187 and subtract 91, I'm going to get the number 96. 496 on this side, and this is now equal to 0. So I just rearrange things and I subtract the 91 is what I did. Set it equal to 0. All these should be divisible by 4. I should be getting something x squared minus 14x plus 96 divided by what? 4 is 24. I believe this one we're going to get x minus 2 and x minus 12. The x equals 2 gives you a good solution like we had previously. The x equals 12, the same, is extraneous, right? It's not going to work when we go plug it back in. Okay. Which one am I on now? Is this test A? This is definitely test A. To continue with test A, odd, even, we want to determine if it's odd or even. I hope y'all remember there's also the neither option, right? Because this one starts off with odd. This one is even, it's symmetric about the y-axis. So again, the odd, we look for opposites. Look at the origin. So this one's odd, this one's even. This one has mixed powers. It's got 1 and 2. It's neither. 2 and 8 would be even, but that one puts an odd in there, so it'd be neither. This one is almost the exact opposite. If we look along here, they are the same. That means these things are even. We look at this graph, it is symmetric about the origin. If we rotate it 180, if we do a double flip, we get the thing back. This one, we could think about constants as being 0 powers, but if we have a constant out there, this is a mix of even and odd. This is okay. Oh man, so the main thing I think people got points off on this one with the mins and maxes is they gave me points. It should just be like y values. Sorry, I'm getting it out. Let's start with 6b. So try to make things pretty similar. Like this is 6a. Check this out. This is 6p. I just flipped it. That's all I did. So now your maxes and mins are flipped. But I wasn't exact on these things. So if you local max, we want to look at the 2 humps. So if you gave me something around 30 and you gave me something around 5 or 7, anything around there, right? Pretty much. As long as you're in the ballpark, I think you're pretty good. My local min, I try to make it 0, but if you gave me something a little bit above or a little bit below 0, I'd still give you points. My absolute max. So there is an absolute max. It is that 30 number that you gave me. The absolute min here, there is no absolute min because it keeps going down.
Wait, isn't this number 4? I thought you said it was number 6.
This is number 4.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was confused.
Yeah, I don't think I said it was 6.
I must have misheard you. Sorry.
Some people give me an X value, like they would give me 5 on this one or something. It's like, no, you got to give me that 0, right? So I think those are the most common mistakes. You either gave me a point or you gave me an X value. That is that one. If it looks like this, it's the exact opposite almost. The local max is going to be right here at 0. The min is going to be around with minus 30 and minus 7. I think someone dropped the negative sign off to 30. That guy's definitely negative down here. The absolute max here, it keeps going and going and going up. I don't believe there's going to be any max here, but the absolute min would be the minus 30. Okay. Any questions about this one, about finding the max, about finding the min? Yeah, I don't think these were the ones that got you points taken off, unless you just didn't put anything. And if you're on a test not putting anything, that's not a good sign. Like, try something. I don't know what to say, right? Like, if you don't put anything, it's like the game strategy. Like, if you don't put anything, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get all the points for that problem taken off. If you put something there, I can justify maybe giving you like a half point or a point, even if it's complete BS, right? Like, I can justify it a little bit more. Okay, so this thing, oh man, some people, I think most of the people were getting this correct. This one was worth quite a few points. There was a few people that left this blank, and it's like, that is a big problem to leave blank. We spent like an entire section over this concept of the real zeros. All right, so if I want the zeros, I want the factors. Tell me something, x equals a minus 5, or a 0, x equals a minus 3, x equals 6. But if I want the factors, they look like x plus 5, x plus 2, and x minus 6. And if you did this, you probably got most points. But this one has a multiplicity of 2. So this should be your function. As long as you put this, you might want to put a positive 1 out in here. If you did that, that's good. If not, I probably gave it to you anyway, even if you didn't think about it. So you might have gotten lucky on that one. The other thing that you really need that a few people dropped, and I don't think I even counted off points for it. They asked for a function. You should give them a function like your f of x, right? I think I squeezed it on a few people's problem. It's like you got your zeros and your multiplicities, and you got the leading coefficient to be a positive 1. So these were the things I really looked at. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different things there, right? Okay. This one looks pretty similar, except the numbers are a little bit different. Instead of 5, it looks like what? X plus 6 was the first factor. X plus 3. And this looks like x minus 4 with a multiplicity of 2. Are there any questions about this one? How we're getting these zeros? You're awfully quiet today.
Sorry, which one is this? Number,
Number 5.
I think I got that one. At least on mine.
Okay.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping. I made this worth quite a few points, but I didn't do that to be malicious. I was hoping y'all would get this. I don't want to speak too much, but I didn't feel like this was a particularly difficult problem. Maybe the other stuff requires a lot of work, right? A lot of the other problems in this test. This one is do I understand the concept? And I was hoping those would be give me points, and some people didn't put anything, and it really scared me. I was like, man. Okay, so this is test 6B. Oh man, so this first one, evaluate f of minus 4. So how do I do this one? There's a lot of people that were getting this thing wrong. Did you get this one, Michael?
Which one?
6.
Let me see. Yeah, I got 6B here. I am showing that I got credit.
Okay. So what did you do?
Oh wait, there's an A and B and a C.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
did you get A correct?
let me.
You're looking at it.
Yeah. So.
How do I?
Yeah. Well, I got off for A actually. So I got f of -4 function. I just plugged in -4.
That falls in.
But there's only one place to put it.
Yep.
Okay, so I put it there, and then I just did the math. 16 minus 3. But since it's a -4, shouldn't it square to a positive 16?
Did you get credit for that?
I got 3 points off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, never mind. You didn't get. That's not.
So it should be a -16 then.
This is a -4. We're looking over here. Where does that -4 fall in?
You plug into that bottom equation, don't you?
No, is a -4 between 0 and 2, or between -5 and 0? That's where we're looking.
Oh.
Right. We're dividing this line between what?
Oh, so you have to find which one it belongs in. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I
That's what
forgot
y'all were
that
doing.
step.
Yeah, y'all were killing me on this. I was trying to make it the easier one to plug into, right? All we got to do is plop a 4 right down there.
Okay.
Okay. So it should be that top thing that it fits into. And if you graph it, right? If you graph it, that should kind of hopefully reinforce it. If we want to graph this thing, graph something that looks like y equals 4, x equals a minus, and then x equals 0. This one's solid, this one. The other thing I got to graph is something that looks like x squared minus 3. You got to graph this at x equals 0 with a solid dot and at x equals 2 with a solid dot. So if I'm thinking about the point here is -5, 4, and 0, 4, the 2 points. If I'm thinking about the point here, this is where I got to plug things in. This is 0. Here I plug in 2. 1. Oh man, now I remember what y'all were getting wrong on this one too. -5, 4. -5, 1, 2, 3, 4 is a solid dot. 0, 4 is an open dot. So you got to make sure this guy right here is open.
Yeah, I draw a little mini line before I graph it, so I know what it's supposed to look like. Like I'll draw a parabola or I'll draw something.
Well, hold on.
Then I'll graph it.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish graphing this, and then I'm gonna ask a question or try to get at something. 0 minus 3 is the point that's on here. 0 minus 3, and then the other thing is 2, 1. Those are both solid. And the one thing I told you to do, or like the one thing that people like really messed up on this, and I said it like once or twice, I know, don't draw a straight line between these two things. This thing is a parabola. It should have a little bit of curvature. It should be curved that way, just like a little bit. If you drew a straight line, you got like 2 points off, I believe. Is it continuous? I think everyone answered no correctly. I don't know that anybody got that incorrect. I could be wrong. It is not continuous. You have to pick up your pencil to draw it. There was one person that drew it wrong and they drew it continuous and they said, yes, it's continuous, and I didn't count enough any points. Sometimes, what is that? The fruits of a poison tree or whatever they say. Have you heard that term? It's a Latin term. It's used a lot in like legalese. Fruits of a poisonous tree. I'm trying to see if it gives me the Latin phrase. It's used a lot in like legalese if police like conduct improper investigations and they get evidence that in illegitimate ways, right? You cannot use that evidence in a court system. So like if you poison your tree here, right, and this ends up being correct because of something you did wrong, it's like, okay, I guess I'm going to give you credit. You still understand the concept. Okay. So I try not to count off like double for stuff that you you got wrong, right? If you're getting stuff right off of stuff that you got wrong, then it's okay. Okay, so this is this one. The other thing I was gonna say, like this f of a -4, if we look at the graph, what are we getting when we plug in a -4 into the x? Does that maybe help reinforce like why Oh man, there's a lot of like white noise coming.
What was the question?
Does this reinforce like why this would be the number 4 somehow?
Why that would be the number 4?
Yeah.
Oh, that is, the one that it says 4 is
We're looking here. right?
-5 greater than or equal to X.
So if we plug in
less
a
than
negative,
0.
if we plug in a -4 into the x of our function, what is our y value that it's going to give us?
4.
4, yeah.
Yeah. So if we look at this thing graphically, like hopefully graphically it reinforces why we're going to like this one or the left half of this piecewise, right? If we go plug in a -4 into our x, it should give us a +4.
Yes, because the Y value is 4 on that line.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
We're plugging it into the flat one, right? Not this, the cubic or not cubic, yeah, the quadratic.
Okay.
We hadn't done that, but yeah, I'll go over that in a second. One of the things that we do, and it's a bit of a weird thing, I'm gonna throw it out at y'all. Why not? We've had the absolute value function, right? And I don't know if we did this or not, but it might be worthwhile looking at. And one of the ways we can actually do the absolute value is by doing what? Negate it, right? Is one way to say it. You probably never do in life. My signs are backwards here. I'm just going to keep it the same. So one way we can actually talk about absolute value by making them, which should hopefully make a little bit of sense, right? F of x equals x. Y equals x line, right? This is my y equals a negative x line. I'm cutting them into pieces for my absolute value. So one of the ways, in the way that we define absolute values, and when we do like more proofs and stuff, is we define them as piecewise functions. There's a negative part and there's a positive part. Basically, is what this is saying, right? So might come up, maybe not. Who knows? But we've seen it. So f of a -2. Should I ask you again, Michael?
What is it, still 6?
Yeah, it's 6 on the different test.
Oh, on the different test. Okay, on the A.
Yep. So what would this one be?
I
know I'm picking.
Could it be both?
What does this tell me?
-2, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. -2 is in between -5 and 0.
And so this is?
-2 is oh no, it's not in between the other two. Okay, so it's just the first one. So therefore it would be 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. And now we want to graph this thing. It looks pretty similar. We get a y equals we want to do 5 and a 0. I think I even put the cutoff points. I just gave you a little bit of different function on this thing, right? This is x equals. Sorry, I'm like cramming stuff in over here. This one is solid. This one is open. And this is going to give me a -5, 3 that I need to graph, and a 0, 3 I need to graph. Similarly here, I'm going to do x equals 0 and x equals 2 is what I'm going up to? Okay. If I plug in a 0, I'm going to get a -2. If I plug in a 2, I'm going to get 4 minus 2. Do I have it? Oh, I do. So this one is solid. This one is solid. I want to graph minus 5, 3. Minus 5, comma 3. I want to graph 0, 3, 1, make it open. Between that one. I have this other one. Look over here. X equals 0 gives me 0 minus 2 is the point I want to do. And I want to go up to 2, comma 2. I'm going to do it. And you might ask me why. Because I want a pink tutu. That's why. And if you choose, you got some points on. I'm sorry. I'm just going to apologize for that joke. Horrible. But I did have a pink marker, so I had to put it to use. This is not continuous. And that's what your graph should look like. Any questions over anything? We went through everything, right? That's it. Did y'all look through your test? Are you okay with your test? Do you not like your test? Do you not like me after your test? Hopefully not. Okay. Okay, so the next section we're going to do is all about like inverses and one-to-one. So we're going to have to compose functions within functions. So I think maybe doing just a few compositions of functions right before we get out of this class on a Friday might keep things a little bit fresher. What do I want to do? 3 different ones? That's probably pretty good.
And I would also recommend you guys, the review is up on the website. I would recommend that you go through and do as much of it as you can, just so it stays fresh with you over the weekend.
All right, I'm going to do fog, golf, and gog, I think is what I want to do. Let's just throw these out there. I don't even know what it's going to do. So what's the first thing you should do? What's like my advice going to be? Write out what?
Is this for an assignment or is this just, you wrote this?
This is just practice that we're doing.
Okay, okay.
I just came up with it off the top of my head.
Let's see.
And you don't have to worry about like rationalizing denominators or anything like that, right? As long as you're plugging stuff in correctly, that's the main thing I care about on this. We're just kind of trying to get you in the right direction with plugging stuff in, so to speak. Make sure you plug stuff in the right order, because fog and golf aren't always the same, right?
You write out your definition first, right?
That's exactly what I want to see. I want to see a definition on there. If you don't put a definition, I'm going to pretend like I don't even know what you're doing.
You put the G equation first.
Okay. Yeah. Are y'all done with all 3 of these? Y'all give these a 10.
Oh no. I thought we were just doing the first one right now. I didn't know we were.
Go try these. Do them on your own. See if you get it right. I'll give you like a few minutes. We got a little bit. We got a little bit of time. But I think you're correct in what you're saying. Oh, that's ugly, but it's okay. Oh. Did y'all hear that one? That's my dog. Oh, you having bad dreams? She just like freaks out sometimes when she sleeps. I think she has nightmares. She like wakes up and like does that, growls, and then she looks all embarrassed that she did it. She's like, I didn't mean to. Are we done with these? Anybody need more time? If you need more time, just yell at me. I ain't trying to rush y'all today. Okay. I hope when y'all try these out on your own. Fog. What someone told me was write out the, I think it was Elliot told me write out the definition. F of g of x. Okay, so what do you see on there? What's the first thing you're going to plug in? I think you told me that too, didn't you? That g of x. We can substitute in a g of x. Now, what does this look like? I'm taking that square root of x plus 2 and I'm going to throw it in where?
To the x value of the f function.
Everywhere there's an x here, I'm going to put in x plus 2. So this should look like 1 over x minus 1, but instead of the x, I put the square root of x plus 2 into there. Did we get this? Are we getting it?
Yeah, you start from the inside and work your way out.
Yep. There's a really important, and we've done a few like plugging stuff in sort of stuff before, right? Now it's getting a little bit more complicated maybe with plugging stuff in. There's a really sort of like important concept, and like there's a reason why we're going over it and going over it again, because it's like one of those concepts that is like people have a lot of difficulty grasping it, right? Sometimes you got to draw a houseboat or something instead of square root of x plus 2. Put some kind of crazy symbol here, right? Maybe I want to say pink line instead of that, right? People have like problems like with this, seeing the substitution sometimes. Okay, so it's g of f of x. Write out the definition. What's the first thing you see there that you can plug in?
The f of x.
So now I'm starting with my f of x. It looks like g of, and my f of x looks like 1 over an x minus 1. And now I'm taking this 1 over x minus 1 and plugging it into my g. My g, oh, well, never mind. It's on this other page, right? Where is it at? There we go. My g looks like a square root of x plus 2. So I'm taking 1 over x minus 1 and I'm plugging it into the x here. Should look something like that guy. Okay. Let's remember to put on a, that might be too much. Put on a fresh G string this morning on my guitar. Let me be clear about that one. That's what I'm reminding. All these G's are reminding me of my G string. The string of G's. G Gog of X. Okay. Whew, I'm giving y'all too much already. G of X is G of X. We like drop the composition symbol and we start throwing in a bunch of parentheses in the other direction, basically, right? I look from the inside out. I look on the inside. I see my G of X. I can plug in square root of X plus 2. Now this one is a little bit weird. I don't even know if we had anything like this in the notes yesterday. Yeah, it's a little weird. But I'm taking square root of X plus 2 and I'm putting a square root of X plus 2 into my G function. So everywhere there's an X, I want to put a square root of X plus 2. So you might see it, maybe not, maybe you do. But there should definitely be a square root within a square root, which is a little funky. We hadn't had anything like that. I think this might be the first time we get to see something crazy like that. Okay. All right, so we got about like 5 minutes left. If y'all have questions, you can ask questions. I'm here for questions. If not, I think that's a pretty good review for today. We went over the test. We went over a few compositions of functions. Go watch 5.2. We're going to talk about inverses. So,
That will be on Monday, right? So we'll go over 5.2 on Monday.
yeah, we're going to talk about inverses and one-to-one.
Okay.
And so a lot of the stuff we use in math, what we're doing is we're applying logic to numerical sets. But like, and maybe I've said this, but if you go study set theory, right? In logic and set theory, that's a horribly wrong drawn T. Set theory. That's all we do in math, basically. It's an application of logic. So if you learn math, you learn like a lot of the sort of like logical constructs that exist out there. And so I talk about it in the notes for inverses, but if we talk about things like commutativity, associativity, right? A plus B. Commutativity is the problem. And I'll use a different example. If I put on my underwear and I put on my pants, is that the same thing as putting on my pants and putting on my underwear? You're gonna look like Quillman. You're gonna look like Doug.
It's the same, right? Because it's the same numbers being added.
Well, it's the order and you put it in.
Yes, so commutativity is another way to say order matters. So I want to think about putting on my chones and putting on my pants. Is that a commutative operation? Does order matter when I put on my underwear and pants?
Yep.
Absolutely. If you put on your underwear and then you put on your pants, you're gonna look pretty normal. If you put on your pants and then you put on your underwear, you're gonna look like Quillman, right? Y'all ever watch Doug? Doug reference. Doug.
Oh boy, that's an old one.
The what? There's the SNL episode with that. Is that what you said?
No, just Doug. That is old.
Oh, okay. It's on Hulu or something, ain't it? Sure, it's on one of the streaming services. I think I watched it recently. All right. So commutativity is just another way to say that order matters. Does order matter when we do things out there, right? Associativity, right? We can associate certain things, maybe. But if I do what? Gloves or socks and shoes and like underwear and pants, I can't mix those up, right? I can't put on socks and then underwear, right? Or something like that. It doesn't make sense to reorder these things. And the way that we group them really matters, right? With the grouping our underwear with our pants and our socks with our shoes, those groupings make sense and we can't interchange them. So they would not be associative, or they would be, yeah, not associative. It matters how we group them, right? The other thing is like inverses, right? If I want to turn on a light switch, I can inverse that by flipping the switch up. I inverse that by flipping the switch down, right? Like everything They're not everything, but like most of the things you have out there, anything that you can think of as a set and member, right? You can apply set theory and you can apply logic, right? And math is really one of the sort of like first places you really get to see a lot of this sort of stuff. And it's not really math in its, what I want to say, in its proper sense. Like you're learning other things through math is the best way to kind of describe it, right? You're learning a lot more basic sort of principles. And these principles get used over and over. It helps you understand the world around you. I don't know how else to explain it, but like some people just seem completely lost at times. And it's like, y'all don't understand that, do you? Okay. End rant. If y'all ain't got nothing better, I'm going to stop the